Well, hey guys, we're back. Welcome to Dope After 40, the podcast. And I couldn't be more excited that we're back. Believe me when I tell you, this has been a long time coming, y'all. And I am so hyped to reintroduce to you guys, to relaunch to you guys the Dope After 40 podcast, formerly known as This Is 40, y'all. Let's get it. So, how are you guys doing out there? It's your host, Nisi Marie. I don't even know where to begin. I'm just super excited to be back. I'm extremely excited to be here. I don't know how many times I've said excited already, but we're about to make this into a drinking game. If I say excited one more time, everybody go pour yourself a glass of something, some type of libation. If you're at work, please wait till you get home. Although it is happy hour somewhere in the world. But if that's your thing and you got your flask, then do what you got to do. But no, guys, seriously, I am really happy to be back. So, if you guys all remember me, you know me from my previous podcast. We revamped and we rebranded, formerly This Is 40, y'all, and decided we needed something with a little more edge. So we toyed around with some names and actually came up with the name Dope After 40 or Dope AF. You get it? Dope as fuck. Yes. You like that, don't you? I know. However, I actually can't take credit for coming up with the name by myself. I actually had the help of one Miss Nicole Tucker in helping me rebrand that name when she and I were supposed to actually going on a podcast together, which was about maybe a year or so ago. Yeah, about a year or so ago. But as luck would have it, pandemic, coronavirus intercepted that, and we weren't able, unfortunately, to move forward with that. And then, as luck would have it, life got in the way. So I want to send out a major shout out to Miss Nicole Tucker. So I will actually be hosting this podcast by myself for the time being, but I will have on hand the lovely Miss Dr. Les, our board certified resident PhD, who will be blessing us with her presence on many of the episodes to come, just helping us get our shit together. Because as you know, as well as I do, there's a lot of healing that needs to go on over here in podcast land. Because it's no secret, we all got some shit going on within this age bracket. All my 30 pluses to 40 ishes and above. So, I mean, we just want to kind of just talk about a lot of things that might be plaguing us, celebrate a lot of things that we can actually say, hey, I survived that. I've been through that. I went through that. I'm still standing. Okay? Wow, where do we even start? I would say let's start the pandemic. I hope everybody out there is doing well. We have so many restrictions that have been lifted recently. So, thanking God because this has been a traumatic time. It's really been. It's been eye opening. It's been a true roller coaster. And I don't know about y'all, but for me, I can honestly say that this pandemic made me more of a hermit. I kind of enjoy my space at home now. I like being home. I like being a shut in. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. I mean, it's legit. Really have to force myself out of the house. I have to force myself to go hang out, have dinner with friends. And I don't even know, y'all. It may not even be the pandemic. It may just be me being of age where I just like my personal space now. I like my own space. I like my own company. I like the people I selectively let into my space. If I invite somebody over for dinner or something like that, I'm comfortable. I like that. So I guess that's one of the things that I feel like I can take away from the pandemic. Also, I gotta say, shout out to the parents. Shout out to all the parents out there that had to go through those tumultuous times of homeschooling our children. I mean, I gotta let y'all know something. There were many times that I had to look at my two, and then I had to go into the mirror and I had to question myself. Like, whose kids are these? Like, what's going on with your parenting? How did they end up like this? 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Whose kids are these? I mean, we were what? We were in it for about maybe a year and a half, where we kind of had our own children, and actually had them home and schooling them, for such a long period of time. I know a lot of parents did actually send their kids into the school buildings. I, however, did not. When restrictions had started to lift a little. Because after we kind of got like acclimated to the fact that we were home, and then they were learning, they had their own little offices and their desks in their room, they started functioning pretty well, homeschooling on their own. It was a no-brainer for me to just kind of keep them home. We had already, started, we were well into it, and it was just important for me to keep them safe at the time. I know there were still reports of a lot of people still catching the virus and it going around. So me just keeping them home after the fact, after we had already kind of been here for a while, it was a no-brainer for me. At the time, I had a 17-year-old who he's now 18 now, my son Jaden, who actually just graduated high school and is on his way to Loyola University. Yes. Let's be clear. That hand clap was for me. That is not for him. Because that goes to mom and dad and the family, the village that got him there. So shout out to us. Shout out to us for all the support that we give our children to make sure that they succeed and go down the path that is the most righteous. Okay? Just putting that out there. But no, I am extremely proud of my son. Words could not even begin to explain how excited. Oh, shit. Y'all better drink it up. Words could not even begin to explain how proud I am of my son, for graduating high school, with such a high GPA, and off to Loyola University in Maryland, guys. So, yay! So yeah, he'll be leaving for college soon, and then it'll just be me and my little guy, Justin. So yeah, we survived. And if you're listening to this, you survived. So again, give it up to God. Shout out to God. Shout out to the universe. We are ever so grateful. And I do want to say rest in peace to all those that unfortunately did succumb to the virus. I have my theories on where this shit came from, but that's another episode. We won't get into that right now. I don't want to scare y'all off just yet, but it is what it is, okay? But no, let's get into it. Let's get into it. Wait a minute. Wait, okay. Sidebar, y'all. I have a cat, and if you hear her on this podcast, because somehow during the pandemic, I became a hermit and my cat found her voice, okay? She is literally the loudest being in my entire household at this very moment. I mean, she meows or cries so loudly when she wants something. She's just disrespectful with it, y'all. She don't care if I'm on a conference call. She don't care if I'm in a Zoom meeting. She just doesn't care, okay? So all that to say, like I said, sidebar, if you hear her, please just disregard, because she just walked by me and made a small cry, and I'm not sure if you guys heard it or not, but just putting it out there. But again, hey guys, we're back. And I'm so excited. Drink it up. Take a drink. So this podcast was initially created so that we could have a safe place and kind of just share our experiences in the world that we are currently living in, y'all. So, I mean, we're just going to be touching base on everything. Anything that has to do with love, relationships, breakups, makeups, trauma, childhood trauma, therapy. I mean, you name it, we're going to touch base on it. Yeah, because I feel that a lot of us are actually going through some things that I don't think we actually knew would be truly affecting us at this time in our lives or at this stage in our lives. I think a lot of us are going through a, some things that we push back or we push to the side or we just kind of just shot out of our mind. But unfortunately, these things can come out in different ways. So we're going to touch base on that. Definitely on therapy, definitely on ways that we can kind of overcome these challenges. And then we're just going to be shooting the shit. You know what I mean? We're just going to be talking about personal experiences, where I've been, what I've been through. And I mean, we'll also be touching base on how we were pretty much just raised differently, just raised in a different generation than what we're witnessing today. And I guess it's also something that our parents went through from the way they were raised towards our generation when we were quite younger. So it's just kind of conforming to today's standards and today's ideologies, respectively, right? So just getting acclimated to this lifestyle now, a lot of people are dating and finding their matches and their mates online in the most unconventional ways, we're going to, like I said earlier, we're going to be touching base on, how when we were younger, therapy was so taboo. However, today it's so prevalent. It's such a big deal now, within our community. How we're living now in this second installment of life, I would say. Like that first installment, many of you may have been married, many of you may have been in some deep committed relationships. And now that might not be the case. You thinking that you might have been with that you were supposed to be with this person for the rest of your life, and that just didn't work out that way. You know what I mean? Because things happen. I mean, it's destiny. It is what it is. So yeah, I mean, just tapping into love, life, relationship, self-care, healing. I mean, it's so much that I myself has gone through. And if I can be a voice to help anybody else out there, to help redirect anybody else's path towards self-love, self-care, then let it be. I mean, and if that's the case, then I guess I found my purpose. So, with all of that said, without further ado, let's get it cracking. The Dope After 40 podcast, y'all. So first and foremost, guys, I do want to say my apologies. I really, really wanted to get my podcast out on the 15th of June. I'll say 2022 because I don't know when you might be listening to this. But unfortunately, I got called out of town for a gig. And then I was experiencing some technical difficulties with lighting and audio because I don't know a lot of you, if you remember my previous podcast, I have a YouTube channel and I kind of concurrently also tape it in video format as well. So, but unfortunately, like I was saying, there were some technical difficulties, so I wasn't able to create the video this episode. However, I do anticipate getting that all worked out, and then I do look forward to releasing video. I pray for the next podcast episode, okay? So in the beginning of the podcast, I talked about the pandemic, and I talked about how it created a want for me to just be comfortable with staying at home now. And I guess one of the big takeaways for me in being in hermit mode was being with myself. So it gave me the opportunity to just love on myself more and just really be deep in thought and really just think about a lot of things that have transpired throughout my life. And it just had me reflecting on how can I be better? How can I make those around me better? What are things that no longer serve me? And just kind of make changes as necessary. So to be fully transparent with you guys, I've had some ups and downs with relationships recently, both romantical and romantical. Is that even a word, y'all? I don't think it is. I'm going to look it up, but later. Both romantic as well as in my family structure. So what I identified was that one of the biggest things for me coming out of this love journey was creating boundaries. So I would say that within the span of about a year, yeah, about a year, God removed, and I'm going to say God because I don't think there's any way I would have been able to release release these people by myself. I would say that God removed relationships from my life that I thought were foundational, that I thought were strong, that I thought were tried and true. I mean, it was almost like he just started dissecting them and picking them apart and removing them from my life. I mean, you know, a lot of times when that happens to you, you're devastated, right? Especially if you're not ready for that change, especially if it's unforeseen or you don't see it coming. But I feel like I have to say, I feel like, y'all, when God removes it, you kind of did see it coming, right? Because you just kind of ignored the red flags. Because he gave you a lot of them, right? He gave you a lot of signs, a lot of signs to be the victor and take care of this. And I believe only does he step in when something is hurting you so much, when something is distracting you from your purpose to the point that you no longer even see God anymore. You don't even idolize him any longer. You are now, you've changed your focus and are now idolizing and obsessing over something or someone that doesn't have your best interest. And it's kind of hurtful when those things are removed from your life. And in essence, that's what pretty much happened to me. So when I started having reoccurring issues and arguments, and these people started falling out of my life with these people who I deemed either my person or my family, I slowly started to or identify that these individuals were not good for me. They weren't good for my energy. They were bringing my vibration down. They're not good for my mental. And then you start realizing this is not okay. This is not okay. It's like an aha moment. Excuse me, guys. It's like an aha moment. It's like a light bulb goes off. Because you start looking at things like this may have been acceptable years ago when I didn't know any better. This may have been acceptable years ago when I didn't know how to love and I didn't know how to receive love. This may have been acceptable then. And then you start to say to yourself, yeah, no, you can't fucking talk to me like that. To a family member, or you hanging out with women from your past whom you've had sexual relationships with to an ex-partner. Yeah, that's not okay. And still wanting to be in a relationship with me? Yeah, homie, that's not okay. You know what I mean? So when you start actually putting up and creating boundaries, that's when the shit hits the fan. But then as I started losing people that were close to me, I actually started looking at myself. I actually started questioning myself. Yo, am I the problem? Could I be the problem? Am I ultimately the problem here? And I gotta tell y'all, when I really sat with myself, when I was really still with myself, the answer was yeah. Yes, I was part of the problem. I was part of the problem, guys, because I walked around for years unhealed, unknowing, but years unhealed. Unknowing that the shit that I had been through as a child had traumatized me. Unknowing that the shit that I had been through in past relationships had traumatized me. I was carrying so much baggage. And again, unknowingly, I was projecting it onto people that were closest to me. And let me hold it, wait a minute. And that's not to say that the things that I experienced recently, you know, with family members and with my ex was all me because that's what we're not gonna do. What we're not gonna do, what we're not gonna do is not sit here and take accountability, okay? Because what we're gonna do here is everybody's gonna be accountable for their shit, okay? Because if I'm accountable for now realizing that I needed to love myself more and I needed to value myself more, because had I did that, all of these red flags that I had seen in these relationships would never have taken me this long to leave a relationship, or it wouldn't have taken me this long to cut people out of my life who were, in essence, just not doing right by me. And so it's not the fact that because I was unhealed that I was to blame, because ultimately you still attract these people because of the level of unhealedness that you kind of like are projecting, right? And I knew that, and I didn't know this prior to going to therapy. I didn't know this prior to being still and being one with myself. But when I really started to really think about all the things that I had been through that may have caused me to have codependency, that may have caused me to have abandonment issues. So knowing the trauma that I endured as a child and allowing that to be the framework of future friendships, future relationships, romantic relationships, but I never identified what was subconsciously embedded in me. That in every one of my relationships, the number one thing for me was loyalty. But I never realized, like, why? Why the fuck? Why is loyalty such a big deal for me? Why was it so important for me to have someone do right by me, love me, be with me, want only me, give their love only to me? Why was that such a big deal for me? And now let's be clear. There's nothing wrong with that, guys. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But for me, why was it the number one facet, the driving force in my relationship? Why was it? And then when I actually realized, it was because of what I witnessed as a child. It was because I saw my mother going through so much infidelity, so much lies and deceit, so much in and out of the relationship, so much heartbreak, so much sadness. And me just saying to myself back then, I don't ever want anything like that. I just remember saying as a child, I just want someone that's going to love me. Just me. All in. Balls against the wall. And although you want that to be your reality, sometimes, majority of the time, it just isn't. Because unfortunately, you're going to find people out here, you're going to attract people out here that are going to be like and identify with what you went through as a child. And it could be, like they say, related to the law of attraction, right? I am attracting it because that is what I am always thinking about. Always in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I hope this person don't cheat on me. Oh, I hope he don't got no crazy baby mama. Oh, I hope he just, you know? Oh, I pray this person is the one. But when you're thinking that, instead of thinking it from a positive mindset, because when you're thinking that from such a negative mindset, that's what you attract. We had no idea that that's what we were doing. We had no idea that that's what we were attracting. I mean, seriously, who the hell knew what the hell law of attraction was 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago? Who knew that? Nobody knows that. We didn't know that. We're just finding out about this whole new spiritual experience and manifestations and spirit guides and angel numbers, and we're just learning and finding out about all of this now. We're just educating ourselves on this now. You know what I mean? This new world of manifestations and the universe, you know? So in saying that, that's one of the things that I know that I really had to do, was to stop beating myself up over the fact of, oh, damn, I wish I would have known this shit sooner. I wish I would have known this earlier. You know, like, I would have been okay, right? I would have had more sustainable relationships. But unfortunately, that's not the case. And, at this present time in my life, I do believe in divine timing. I believe in God's timing. I believe that I had to go through these lessons. I had to go through these lessons and I had to learn them in such a way that would make me stronger. You know, I believe that I had to go through these lessons because, the payout is going to be so much greater for me than I could possibly ever imagine. Not to get all, spiritual with you guys, but I mean, it is what it is. What if I had to, learn these lessons in such a way? It was part of my destiny. It was for me to find my purpose, to talk to others, to tell my stories. I mean, I don't know, I'm still figuring it out. But whatever it is, y'all, I do know and I do understand that it's a process. Through this whole year, I have become so much more spiritual. I mean, and it was just, I mean, literally within a year. Literally within a year. I can't even begin to explain it, y'all. I remember. I have a twin brother, my brother Dave. And few years ago, he had become and gotten so heavy into spirituality and heavy into the church. And I just remember having a conversation with him, like, why I feel like God don't be talking to me. like like I mean, him and his wife, like, like, why are you guys, y'all just seem so spiritual, y'all seem so connected, like, why am I not feeling this vibe? Why am I not feeling this? And, it came to me later on, everything, and like I just said, my biggest thing now is divine timing. Everything happens for a reason. And everybody's walk is different. Everybody's journey is different. So what they may have been going through, it just wasn't my time yet. It wasn't my time yet. And even though I am so much more spiritual now, my journey is still different from my brother. And for me, I've taken a more healing approach to it. For me, like I said earlier, I'm heavy into manifestations, speaking things into the universe, crystals, saging my space, Palo Santo, meditating, listen to binaural beats, Reiki. I mean, you name it. And those are big things for me because I am on a journey of healing. I am on a journey of self-love. I am on a journey of self-realization. And they all go hand in hand with, prayer and, me talking to my, Lord and Savior. They all go hand in hand. Because without it, there would be no healing, self-love, knowing my worth. It just wouldn't be. So not to get off track though, guys, but because of my feelings of abandonment and worthlessness and feeling unloved, I searched for that in my relationships. And in doing so, I found people that vibrationally gravitated towards me because they needed the same thing. These people needed to have their ego stroked. They needed attention. They needed praise. They looked for love in all the wrong places instead of within themselves. Or they wrap their love up in being the best dressed or material things. You know what I mean? Because they didn't know how to love themselves as well. But I didn't know that, right? So the mentality that I had at that time was, I'm just going to pour everything that I have into these relationships, into my ex, to my mother, to my sibling. I would pour everything that I had into these relationships, hoping that if they saw how much I love them, how much I care for them, how much I do for them, hoping that, maybe one day they would reciprocate. But that wasn't the case. And unfortunately, I had to find that out the hard way, the really hard way. And then what happens is that you tend to get angry and you tend to lose yourself because you've now given so much of who you are away that you don't even fucking recognize yourself. You don't even know who you are anymore because you were doing for so many and not for yourself, because you were given to so many and not given to yourself. So now you don't even remember what you liked. You don't even remember what you love to do. You doing what they like. You doing what they love to do. Until you wake up one day and you like, yeah, this isn't it. This ain't it. Like, how can I be 40 and you like, this ain't it. This can't be it. This can't be life. Me and my fine ass chasing love. This can't be life. And I had to stop trying to force love from someone. Because when you force in love from someone, that's not love. When you actually sit back and think about what this person actually did for you, or and how they provided value to your life, it's only then that you really start to take notice that it wasn't really worth all the turmoil or sleepless nights or third party bullshit that they put you through, having feelings of inadequacy like, why am I not good enough? Why me? Why not me? All of that traumatic shit that we went through. And we build these people up on these pedestals. And we make them believe that they are our king or they are our queen. When in actuality, y'all, it's us. It's us. It's so much of us pouring into them energetically, supporting them, praising them, just doing the most. But we're doing what comes so naturally to us that we tend to dim our own light. And that's what I was doing. And in doing so, my value and my worth started to diminish. Because when you really think about it, guys, the real king and the real queen is not those people. It's not that group. It's us, right? It's me, because I'm the one that's really holding it down. I'm the one that's putting my best foot forward. I am the queen, but I'm dumbing myself down for you. And for what? Now, let me just be clear. Let me put it out there. This podcast is in no way, shape, or form about bashing any man or bashing any woman. It's just me talking about my experiences, talking about my journey. And I really preface that to say that even with all the hurt and pain, I really don't believe many of them are the assholes, the true assholes that we paint them out to be. I really don't believe that many of them truly mean us harm. Right? I really don't believe that. No, don't get me wrong. There are really some fucked up, really sick people out here. Just out here traumatizing the shit out of their partners. Whether it be for pure enjoyment, I don't know. Definitely not talking about them. God has a very special place in hell for people like them. I'm just saying. Those type of people are what you call the ops. And their sole purpose on this earth is to do nothing but to lower our vibration. And that's facts. Just straight up devil energy. But I digress. Not talking about them. No. But I'm talking about those that are or have also experienced some type of trauma in their lives, right? But aren't forthcoming about it. So like you may have opened up to them about your struggles, your traumatic experiences, things that you may have gone through in your past or in past relationships. And seemingly they're understanding and they're sympathetic and they're there for you to lean on in your moment of vulnerability, right? Until the moment that they will flip that shit and use that information against you. Until that moment, they flip the script, use it for their advantage. Let's just say, for instance, you may have caught your partner in a lie. You may have found out that, they did some shit behind your back. Now they're using and bringing up that good old traumatic past of yours to their advantage. I mean, let's just role play for a minute. Them saying, you accusing me because your last boyfriend cheated on you. No, bitch. I'm accusing you because you lied and I caught your ass in it. That's why. It has nothing to do with any trauma or anything I experienced in my past. This is completely present day trauma. Like, that's why I'm accusing you. Not even accusing you. That's why I'm calling you out on it. Like what the hell? Like, this has nothing to do with my past, but you have those people. I mean, come on. Y'all all know the type. They rather manipulate you with the bullshit and show and paint the picture of how damaged you are, how insecure you are, rather than just taking ownership or taking accountability for their actions and just working through it. Working through it either by themselves or if you choose to work through it together. But owning your shit, taking accountability, and not manipulating the other party. That is such, I mean, if there's anything that's more fucked up than that, it is probably that. Because clearly, the only one damaging me here is you. Because now I see that you're damaged and you're refusing to do the work on yourself. But again, I digress. It's that group, again, guys, that I do believe they do love us. It doesn't sound like it, right? But it's also my belief that they love the idea of themselves far more, as well as the idea of others loving them and providing them with just enough superficial attention to stroke their ego. Right? I mean, like, it's like chasing a high. You ever, like, talk to, I don't know, a family member or somebody who may have been, like, drug addicted or just had a friend or anything like that? Have you ever heard them say that, and I've always heard this story over and over again, like, how did you get hooked? And they will always say, because you're always trying to chase that first high. You're always trying to chase that first feeling, the very first time you got high. There's nothing like it, right? And that's what I feel like these people, this group, this type, I feel like this is what they do. From whatever they may have gone through in their childhood, I feel like this is the result of that. They're always chasing that first feeling of love or feeling of just attention, that newness, that feeling of wanting to be loved, you know? There is no better feeling than new love. I mean, literally, y'all, there is no better feeling than new love. The butterflies, the tingly feeling. You know, I mean, come on now. And there's nothing like that. And I feel like there are people out here that are constantly chasing that. These people will have such a good thing in front of them already. Something so rich, something so true. And they will put that person through so much shit just so they could chase that. Chase that attention, chase that high, chase that love, that feeling, if just only for 1 second from somebody else. Having all these options and going from one to the other. But eventually they'll never feel that, right? Because it no longer exists. And now they become addicted to chasing this feeling. They become addicted to this lifestyle. Nobody's ever good enough because they then come to the realization, if they come to the realization that what they're chasing can't be found externally. Because what they're chasing ain't nowhere out here in these streets. Because what they're chasing is embedded in their subconscious, or as some would call it, their inner child. You know, traumatic experiences that we may have all gone through that have affected us as children. And we've carried throughout adulthood that has long-lasting effects on us that we may not even know is actually affecting us 10, 20, 30 years later. You know, like I touched on it earlier, that divorce between your parents, the infidelity. But unfortunately, guys, there's not a one-sided healing relationship. Let me say that again. There's not a one-sided healing relationship if two people are, and I use this term loosely, damaged. If two people have issues that need to be rectified, you can't just heal a relationship. One person can't take the brunt of it all. I mean, because like I can't heal and you're still broken. And we think that we're going to be one in union together. If one is broken and refuses to do the work or refuses to identify with anything remotely close to therapy or healing, and the other is on a journey towards healing, it just doesn't work. Let's, for instance, take R. Kelly. Let's just. Now, a lot of y'all are a lot more sympathetic when y'all hear or understand that he was also sexually abused as a child, right? And what's your unexpert opinion? Hurt people hurt people. Hurt people hurt people. So the same thing rings true for this group of people. I mean, do we give them grace because we know that they're dealing with some shit that has nothing to do with us? Do we give them grace, or do we allow them to take the necessary accountability? I don't know. Because it's the same thing, right? Like R. Kelly having experienced these sexual abuse as a child, which later in life, manifested, unfortunately, and he did some wicked things to people because of his traumatic experiences. Well, the same thing rings true for, these people and ourselves, who've been through traumatic experiences, and we carry those things into these relationships, put people through so much stuff. Not me necessarily. I'm not calling myself out. I'm just talking about that other group of people. But you put people through so much stuff when you know that you could be actually harboring shit from a divorce that you may have went through, or a failed marriage, or seeing your father cheat on your mother, anything. And it comes out with you treating the one you love or the person you love so disparagingly, so negatively, but not taking ownership, not taking accountability for it. You got the one person that's in the relationship that's taking accountability for it, and you throwing that shit in their face, and you're telling them what they're doing wrong, and how awful of a person they are, and they need to go heal, and they need therapy, and that's not okay. So no, just like with the R. Kelly story, I do feel bad when I hear that he endured such abuse as a child, and I can understand where it came from to do these heinous things to these women. But at the same time, you have to take accountability. You have to understand that you inflicting pain on somebody else is not okay. Because the fact of the matter is, guys, whatever anybody goes through, that shit stays within a person's psyche. The shit stays within your subconscious. That's exactly why you keep running from woman to woman. That's exactly why you keep jumping from man to man. That's exactly why you got this good thing in front of you, and you just like, they'll be there forever. I'm going to go over here and do my thing. Like, that's exactly why. That those things that we endured in past relationships, or those things that we endured as a child, we seemingly think that we got over that. I got over that. That's no longer part of who I am. When that couldn't be any fucking further from the truth. It is absolutely, completely the opposite. It has shaped you into the person that you are today. It's unfortunate because at this age, it's only a select few of us that are willing and able and wanting to do the work. Now, remember, therapy was so taboo in our community, 20, 25 years ago? Hell, 10, 15 years ago. I mean, and let's just be honest, I'm not calling out my community, but I'm calling y'all out. Black people, therapy, what? You bring up the word therapy, we think you crazy, right? I mean, that was what it was back in the day. Therapy equaled nut house. I mean, did it not? But that's just not prevalent today. Today, we want to heal. We don't want to live out the rest of our days being sad, feeling unloved, feeling unworthy, feeling destitute, feeling abandoned. No, we want to be loved. We want to be vibrant. We want to align with our higher self. We don't want to continue this unhealedness. Wait, is that a word too? Yo, every time that I say a word that just doesn't sound like it aligns right, or it is not one with Webster's dictionary, if you got a drink, just drink that shit. Okay? What I'm saying, just let it go. Just let it go. Because ebonically speaking, Might just be the name that I change this podcast to next, okay? But anyway, I digress. This group is dealing with and running from shit that has absolutely nothing to do with us. And I, in my own experience, in my own relationship, had to realize that. I had to realize that I should have taken a step back. I should have taken several steps back. But I didn't. Nope. Because what I did was I put my cape on, I put my tights on, I put my bodysuit on with my S on my chest, and I tried to go save a nigga, right? Let's go to therapy. We need to go to therapy. I'm going to send you a good therapist. You need to talk to somebody about these things that are reoccurring in our relationship that's bothering you, about these things that are affecting you, that are affecting us. You never dealt with your divorce, things from your childhood, For me, I tried to be that person. You try to be that person for them because that's just who I am. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but that's just me. That's just who I am. I mean, that's just the way God created me to be. I remember saying years ago, God, why'd you make me like this? Why'd you make me so sensitive? Why'd you make me such a hopeless romantic? Why am I so emotional? Why am I like this? And I used to deem these things as negative and that were hurtful to me, were hurting me. But I can honestly say I don't think like that anymore. I love being sensitive. I love my emotions. I love helping people. I love helping my man. I love just helping my friends. I love it. So be it. That's just who I am. I will never ask that question again. You know? Why? Because that's what I'm talking about here. That's that self-love. That's that self-love that I had to work on. That's that healing. That's that healing, that inner child. I am okay with tapping into my emotions. Okay? If I'm too sensitive for you, boop, I'm not your person. And that's just the bottom line. But no, I guess what I'm trying to say before I completely got off subject was that these unhealed people, they are dealing and running with shit that has absolutely nothing to do with us. And the more we try to fix, and the more we try to support, and the more attention and love that we try to provide to them, they're off running again. Because either they know that we know the real deal, or they know that we're damn close to finding out who they really are. And that scares them. And when that happens, shit, hold on to your lace front. Because the way they will flip that script and manipulate the situation to make you seem like you are public enemy number one, baby. And that's not okay. And I had to realize that. Going back to personal experience, I had to realize that myself. As much as I kept giving, as much as I kept pouring in, I was taken away from myself. Because my person didn't value me. My person didn't appreciate me. My person didn't appreciate me enough to do the work on themselves. My person didn't trust in me or our relationship enough to not get involved in these outside energies and these third party, bullshit. My person didn't trust in me enough when I would say things like, let's focus on me, let's focus on us. Let's build these businesses. Let's get this money. We can be a fucking conglomerate out here in these streets. You know what I mean? Just a whole ass power couple. I know y'all know the feeling. I know many of y'all out there that poured in so much, had so much to do, wanted so much to do with your partner. But you can't do it one-sided. You can't do it if only one person is reciprocating this boss move energy and the other person is thinking only about themselves. That's a recipe for disaster. We can't do that. We can't live like that. How are we supposed to build a life together like that? It's impossible. When I'm thinking about us and you thinking about you. And God saw that. And God snatched that shit away from me. And even though I was just starting my journey of healing and self-love, my journey of spirituality, I wasn't ready to give it up. I was still Captain Save-A-Ho. I was still throwing on my cape, and I was still, I'm gonna fix it. I'm gonna fix it. But what I realized later, that that wasn't my problem for me to fix at that time. God was telling me, this is not your job. I release you. This is not your problem to fix. Go now and fix yourself. Let me tell y'all this story time. I mean, I can't say it enough. Like, personal experience. My person, y'all, I would give. And that's not his fault. That's not his fault that I would continuously try to give to him, right? But when I would give, he would give me like a morsel in return. And then he would just continuously create these blockages in our relationship. Blockages by keeping me as an option and holding on to so many women from his past and not wanting to let them go, always needing to have the attention or the affection from these people, and pretend as if they were platonic, or if they were, nothing more than just a simple phone conversation. And don't get me wrong, some of them were, but some of them weren't. And it was just, at times it just became unbearable. Just keeping around these women that, he may have had a crush on, or had sexual desires for, or whom he actually had sexual experiences with. How is that conducive to a healthy relationship, you ask? Bitch, it's not. It's just not, all right? It never was, and it never will be. When you have someone continuously undermining you and keeping you as an option. I mean, my person would literally tell people that I was, that I had mental illness, that I was bipolar of some sorts. And it is just like, but what I do, I still stayed. Because why? I'm going to fix this. But for a long time, I didn't know that a lot of this was going on. Not for years later. I always used to tell him, he always needed to have a backup plan. He always needed to have someone waiting in the wings, a fail-safe, just in case something didn't go right with us. Can you imagine that feeling? Feeling of, at a moment's notice, an argument you may get into, or something happens that he'll go right back to the next. Could you imagine that feeling? It's crazy, right? But again, that had nothing to do with me. But I didn't know that. That had nothing to do with me. Why he needs so much attention from outside parties, outside energies, other women. I won't even begin to try to explain why. That's not for me to do. And I would just keep giving. I would keep giving, right? Because I felt like he loved me. He did. He loved me. I'm not going to say he didn't. He loved me. I felt it. He loved me. He did. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. But it was always so temporary. And it was always so short-lived. Yo, I'm going to keep it real with y'all. I was so connected to this man that I could literally feel when he would stray. And it's a real thing, y'all. When you are, like, there are people out here that are really spiritually or energetically connected to other people. I could really feel when he would stray. Which is why it probably was so traumatic at the end, And it sounds crazy, but you just really have deep connections out there. I can't explain it. This is like, it's just of another world. It's just, the wonders of the universe, where you can just feel shit like that. And you should be so blessed if you could actually have that same connection with somebody. But in knowing that and having those feelings would begin my spiral into the unknown of doing shit which I was never proud of doing shit that just was not my finest moment. Stalking social media, rummaging through his phone, the game of cat and mouse. Yo, this shit was exhausting. I mean, it was literally exhausting. Just always trying to just be the one to control the narrative and make sure I find out before it comes back to me. And what's the old adage? Every time you go looking for something, you always gonna find it, right? And sure enough, did I not always find some shit? And I would never recommend that. And he's not the first. I'm not going to say he's the first. I think that behavior started with my ex before him, when there was a lot of cheating going on and things of that nature. So I had those tendencies. And I just kind of, that's that baggage I talk about. When you bring that unhealed shit into another relationship. But like I said, what comes with growth and what comes with healing is that when you look back at things that didn't align with your higher self, you look back at it and you're like, yo, that was not my finest moment. You're not too fond of things that you felt like you needed to do, that you felt like was necessary. Because it wasn't. Again, divine timing. That was me controlling the narrative. But God would have showed me sooner or later. But I can say, though, just a big major shout out to, this healing process and this journey. And I know I use that term a lot, healing. But it really is a journey, y'all. And when you learn to master it, man, there's nothing like it. And it's something I can say that I'm really, really proud of myself for. Being able to now forgive and just really being able to let things go. But like I said, after 7 years, with my ex, God said enough. And I think it was one of the best decisions that he ever made. So I say to all you guys, going forward, if you are going through a breakup right now, or if you've been single for a while, or just, maybe recently, I would say really, truly try to invest in yourself. Don't try to rush back into another relationship. Learn yourself. Love on yourself. Figure out what you don't like. Figure out how you don't attract the same bullshit that you may have had before. How do you fix issues within yourself that may have been contributing factors to, the demise of your relationship? I never understood why people are so quick to jump into another relationship so fast. And now not only are you taking the same damage, the same brokenness that you've had your entire life, now you got new baggage added on from the last relationship you just got finished going through, and now you're rushing into something new. Like, I don't understand that. Chasing that ego to be stroked, when all you need to do is love yourself. Just continually ignoring the trauma within. Just so you could just feel good. Just so you could feel, ooh, make me feel good. What movie was that, y'all? Make me feel good. Just so you could feel good. But you're going to go be right back at square one again with those same fucked up, damaged perspectives that you brought from the last time. Some of y'all do it because you mad. You mad at your ex. I want to show this person I can get back out there. I don't need them. It's all for perception. It's all for the feeling. It'll never, ever, ever give you what you're looking for. That satisfaction is only temporary. Believe me. And so many times, guys, we don't get that fairy tale closure that we think we need in order to move on. Especially when someone hurts you. There was a quote that I heard years ago, and it said, the hardest thing I ever had to do was forgive someone that wasn't sorry. And for me, that seemed to be the soundtrack to my life. I had to accept the ending. And I think for a lot of us, we have to accept the ending, because it allows us to get ready for the new cycle that's coming into our life. We really need to be able to discern and identify when something is toxic and when something is truly a part of our destiny. After an ending, it's no longer about who's wrong or who's right. It's about the lesson. What did you honestly learn? I remember my ex saying to me time and time again, yo, I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to keep hurting you. After he hurt me, of course. See, I know it seems like I can look back on this shit and laugh at it now, right? But no. When I really look back on the shit that I tolerated, I look back on it with utter embarrassment. Like, damn, I really needed help, huh? Now, y'all, I am loving what I'm doing. I'm loving who I'm becoming. I'm honest. I'm forgiving of myself and others, but more so myself. But I'm forgiving of myself for ignoring the red flags, for accepting manipulation, for accepting mediocrity, for accepting being an option, but most importantly, for not creating boundaries. That was my biggest takeaway from all of this. Creating boundaries. That was my lesson, amongst others, but that was my lesson in all of this. I used to let people do whatever the fuck they wanted to do for the sake of love. And that's not okay. For the sake of being with somebody, for the sake of thinking this person's going to take me to the moon and back, you can take yourself to the moon, boo. That's my thought process now. We have to stop thinking that we can't. We have to stop putting all of our eggs in one basket. We have to learn how to respect ourselves, y'all. So all those dinners to maybe like a fancy restaurant or a lavish bag here or there or that bomb-ass sex, was it really worth it though? Did it all equate to all the lies, the dishonesty, the manipulation, everything that they put you through? Was it worth it though? Nah, it wasn't. Just like in my case, I thought I needed my person. I thought I needed him. Yo, his ego was so huge, y'all. He made me believe that he was the king of the world. He would say things like, you'll never be in the same rooms I've been in. Like regarding like some celebrities he may have met or some, influential people. And initially, that shit would sting. But over time, it stuck with me. And it really made me realize that he could never be my person, not at this moment in time. Because as I'm building him up, he chose to tear me down. And your person will never tear you down. Because let's be clear, if your person is able to do so, your person is going to make sure he has you by his side with him as he enters those rooms. Together. While making those power moves together. So we got to get off that misconception that we need a man or a woman to move mountains. That couldn't be any further from the truth. Yo, move them damn mountains for yourself. When your energy is high, when you vibrating on a high frequency, and you're living right. When you have that self-love, there's nothing you can do out here. Nothing. Because those people that would say or do those things, you'll find out that they are the most insecure, the most damaged people. And I believe that anybody can change, but you gotta do the work. I don't damn these people to hell. I don't think that, they're all narcissistic assholes. Wait, let me think. I'm gonna back it up. Nah, they get a pass. But I feel like anybody can change if they put the work in, if they want to. But what I don't respect is those people that continuously make you appear to be the problem, make you the issue. But when you're healed, you can spot that shit from a mile away. And I'm going to end it like this, guys. I'm going to end it with an ending. If you're going through anything that's causing you to question your worth, Have you doing shit that has you acting out of character? Like doing things that don't align with your spirit? Don't do it, y'all. Take it from me. Don't do it. Just walk away. Just walk away. And just don't look back. And when I say end it, I mean end that shit correctly. End it correctly. Because even if they don't, which 9 times out of 10, they probably won't, you do it. And it doesn't involve calling, texting, or emailing anybody an apology. All it involves is having a conversation with yourself and saying to yourself, you know what? Thank you for allowing me to have this experience. But I'm releasing you now so I can have the life and the love that I deserve. For some, it might just be easier to just agree with that individual. And that's fine. They can have their opinion on how or why they believe shit went down. And you have your opinion. And respectively, everybody goes their separate ways. But if I'm being honest, y'all, and I'm being fully transparent, that right there was probably one of the hardest pills I ever had to swallow. Definitely one of the hardest things I have ever had to do. I mean, it's gaslighting 101. When they blame you for something, or in this case, the demise of the relationship, when clearly they know that they are the one to blame. When they clearly know that they were keeping you as an option, when they clearly know that they were lying to you repeatedly about trysts or dates or whatever the case might have been, when they clearly knew that they were the ones contributing to the mistrust of the relationship, and when they clearly know that they weren't giving you the best that they could possibly give you, not because of nothing else, not their career, not because of finances, not because for no other reason than them giving so much of themselves to other people, other parties that had no business intertwined within the two of you guys. So it was extremely hard for me to accept responsibility for his failures, especially when I took accountability for a lot of mine. But it also shows growth. And it's something that you have to do for yourself. So by accepting the ending, it's going to help you get ready for that new cycle that's coming into your life. Because we really need to be able to discern when something is toxic and when something is really and truly a part of our destiny. Because the fact of the matter is, we're not here long enough to be living unhappy. That's not God's will, and that's not God's way. So practice being so quick to abandon anything that's not in alignment with your true happiness or with your highest self. Because, when I tell y'all my cutoff game is sick right now. My cutoff game is so strong right now, y'all. It is top notch. But why? I now, at this age, finally realize my worth. And I realized that all from being on my own for a while. Not jumping immediately into dating or jumping into another relationship. I dated myself. I took myself to dinners. I took myself to lunch. I took myself to concerts. I dated myself. You know how many times my girlfriends would hit me up and say, hey, I heard you might be going to such and such concert. I'd love to go. Like, guys, I'm just going to do this one by myself. Y'all can sit this one out. I'm going to do this by myself. I started to fall in love with the things that made me happy again. So from me disconnecting and focusing on my happiness brought so much clarity back into my life regarding what I truly deserve and how I truly deserve to be treated. Because if you can't treat me how I treat me, nah, son. Nope. Saying bye-bye. Start establishing who you are. Establish you. Because if you can't be happy on your own and enjoy your own company, how the hell do you expect anybody else to? How the hell are they supposed to? Which is why the most important thing that I realized throughout this journey is that my happiness matters. And I create my own happiness. There's nobody else on this planet who is or who should be making me feel happy. I create my own happiness. You can contribute to it, but you are not the sole purpose of my happiness. And if you are someone that's not aligning with my happiness, you got to go. You've got to go. And I hope, guys, and I pray that so many of you can one day or can soon find that same peace and that same happiness, because the feeling, y'all, is indescribable. It is everything. So, repeat after me. We are no longer holding on to grudges, pain, trauma, old arguments, reading old negative ass text messages, blaming others, or blaming that ex. All it does is create slow moving energy and blockages around us. It just doesn't allow you to really manifest and really truly recognize your true goals, your true purpose in life, which will ultimately attract new love into your life. That good love, y'all. You know, the one I talked about earlier. That love, you know, the one you look up to the heavens and be like, damn, God, that's all me. I see you. That is what we're striving for. That good old, authentic, reciprocating love. That unconditional, no strings attached love. I don't care what you've been through. I got your back type of love. Okay? So, on that note, I feel like I kept y'all long enough. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in to Dope After 40. Take care.
Your heart, keep it in your pocket for safekeeping. Don't ever let nobody be the reason you throw it out. You stop caring about it. Don't let your hair get in the way. Can't be defined by your mistakes. You know you try and you try really hard, but sometimes you fall. You're